Hi everyone, it's Miss Celeste, and I'm your professor for ECE 602. And we are going to go through a series of 16 short videos that are going to talk about the course objectives specifically in a little bit more details. And I really hope that it becomes very helpful for you just to dive into each course objective and get a little bit more information in addition to our weekly live sessions. But let me share my screen so we can get started here. All right. So again, this is week 1, part 1 of our courses here. But before we get started into all the details, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this week's assignments. And every week you're going to have assignments or journals or discussions that are due, but it definitely can differ weekly. So I do encourage you to go into Canvas to get more specific details on what is due, because through the course and through many different courses that I teach, I could sometimes change some of the assignments. So please just take some time to go into the discussion and better understand what that discussion is. All discussions are due on Wednesday of every week. Replies are all due by Saturday of every week. I recommend that you do them on 2 separate days, just, to get some meaningful, conversations going, some meaningful feedback if your peers are asking you such questions. It just kind of keeps that dialogue going in a more consistent manner, and also the conversation, because this is an online course. So the discussions are a big part of this course. So please, share some information that you have either read or even just through your experiences, because we need all of that, to learn and grow together. So please just make sure that your replies are meaningful and you're spending some time replying to any questions or anything that your peers are asking. We also have journals that are due on Saturdays weekly. And then again, assignments are due on Sunday. So again, take some time to better understand what those specifics are. Take some time to review the practicum details, because it is a little portfolio that you're going to need to create, in addition to your 45 hours that are due within a 3-month period. So again, take some time to read each of these areas in Canvas. And then after that, if you have more questions, I'm more than happy to address them either one-on-one through a Zoom, an email, or of course through our live sessions, okay? Because again, I want you to be successful, but in order for you to be successful, I know that, sometimes we have questions. So please ask so I can better support you. Because if you don't ask, I don't know that you're struggling and with understanding or you're in a specific area. So I am here to help you. So please just spend some time connecting with me as often as possible. All right, so in this specific course objective, I really wanted you to better understand the discovery of family approaches. But within this, I am going to talk a little bit about Bonhoeffer's theory. I'm going to talk a little bit about benefits of family-centered programs. I'm also going to talk about building partnerships and how to do that. But what is a family-centered approach? What does that look like? Well, a family-centered approach takes the individual child and the group of children out of the spotlight and instead focuses on the children within their families. In the case of educational programs, that means that parent involvement isn't something the teacher does in addition to the program for children, but that the program includes the family as a really big part of their school community. So we really want to create that balance, right, in the home environment and as well, of course, within your classroom. But in order to do that, we have to have those conversations. We have to have those meaningful approaches from the very beginning so families do feel included and that they do also want to be included, right? So it's also about how we communicate that, how we introduce ourselves or introduce our learning environment, and how we're going to really get them to be part of that learning environment. So those first impressions are so, so important, to bring part when you are, of course, meeting new families and having new children come into your classroom. So really take some time to better understand center approaches, within your classroom community and how to incorporate parents within that community. Because we do need to work together to have successful outcomes. And sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes we don't spend a lot of time incorporating the parents, but parents do expect a lot from us, right? So it's our job really to give them some great information so they can also understand where they play, role-wise in their child's education as well, because it is essential to really have everybody together on the same page so we are being supportive. But before we get started, I did want to do a quick video so you can better understand the development that Bonifer's really wanting you to capture. So let me get to that. Let me stop sharing. And then find our video here. Just give me 1 second. Thank you so much for being patient. All right, so all right. So I'm going to play this quick little video so you can better understand, okay?
What is Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory? Bronfenbrenner believed that a child's development was affected by everything that surrounds him or her. Through this, he created an ecological system which consisted of the microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem, microsystem, and the chronosystem. The first layer is the microsystem. The microsystem is the smallest and most immediate environment in which the child lives in. Examples of these environments would be home, school and peer groups, and their community. Mesosystem is defined as the relationships between the microsystems. For example, the linkages between home and school, peer group and family, or family and church. For example, if a child's parent is actively involved in the friendships of the child, then the child's development is affected in a positive way. However, if a parent is mean towards the child's friend, then the child will have conflicting emotions, affecting them in a negative way. Exosystem is the relationships that may exist between two or more settings, one of which may not contain a developing child but affects him indirectly nonetheless. Like, for example, a parent who asks for a promotion at work and gets turned down might take out that anger on the child at home. Microsystem is the largest system. It contains all of the distant people and places that significantly affect the child. It is made up of the child's cultural patterns and values, specifically the child's dominant beliefs and ideas, as well as political and economic systems. For instance, a child in a war zone area will experience a different kind of development than a child who lives in a community where peace is present. The chronos system relates to the transitions and shifts in one's lifespan. It may also involve the social historical context that may influence a person. A classic example of this is how divorce, as a major life transition, may affect not only the couple's relationship but also their child's behavior. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. So I just thought that was a good visual video to kind of share some insight into Brothenbrenner's theory and how, he really viewed patterns of development across time, as well as the interactions between the development of the child and the environment. So he really, really believes that there is, definitely a connection that is formed within the child and the environment, which is very, very much important and is essential to how a child is developing and continuing to develop, for that matter. Topic 2 is, the benefits, for children are when children see adults modeling healthy, great relationships among each other, the interactions that they have, and also the responses that they get, right? So it is does play a big factor. Children are always watching, they are always seeing what our reactions are, right? And also how we're treating other people. Teachers who work well with families get to better understand the child's needs, right? So the more that we're communicating, building those strong relationships, it can definitely benefit, right? All of us, for that matter, but most importantly, the child, because we really want to understand where they come from, their development, their environments, all areas, so then we can best assist them and support them within their learning. Families, really need to feel included in the process, as I mentioned before. And also they may not even ask to. So we have to really give them that welcoming experience from the very beginning. We really have to format a very important structure so they understand their responsibilities as well. I'm a big believer on keeping that consistent so they also understand the expectations and the requirements that are needed for them to help all of us, right, within the learning. And then topic 3, about partnerships. So how do we create those partnerships? How are they beneficial? So I did grab a little bit of information from our text. As you may always see some a recognition or resource information here at the bottom, because I am getting a lot of this information from this great text that you will be reading, throughout this course. So please make some connections. Please, really dive into the 6 types of partnerships that they are sharing specifically within this text. But within collaborating and building that community, we really have to build partnerships with the parents. But how do we do that? It's really beneficial to make time, right? Connect with parents in the beginning, if that's even just on a phone call. I really always encourage that face-to-face, in-person type meeting. But of course, life happens, right? And different schedules and such. So don't let that determine or cancel a meeting for that matter. Do a Zoom meeting. Just really get those opportunities from the very beginning to kind of build that connection. Also with, building partnerships, it's also communicating school to home and home to school. So having that open door communication and consistent. I really like sharing information through, is it weekly or monthly? newsletters that you're learning, so that the parents can also understand what the child's learning. Because again, depending on the child, they may not be able to verbalize one, what they're doing every day, and two, just really what the whole learning opportunities that are happening throughout that month or week. So it's important that we are communicating that consistently, and also giving some great ideas to do at home, because I think especially literacy and reading, and making that part of a bedtime routine, sounds so simple, but not every family really does that consistently. So I always start there, always make that a big part of our learning. So I really try to connect that literacy component from the very beginning. So what I do, or what I've done, I should say, is, create little reading books. So within those reading books, they're collecting all the books that they're reading every night. And it could be from one all the way to really as many as you wish. And then I have them turn it in, every 2 weeks, just so we can connect. And then I write some notes, and we just kind of communicate on different books, and just be excited about it. So I really felt, or continue to feel, that that's a great opportunity to connect, especially with that bonding experience, that literacy component, and just really spending time, which sometimes we talk a lot about, we don't have, but really spending 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you have. I would encourage parents to just kind of stop a second and really build that small window just to connect, bond, and share some great stories, with their children, because the children also have to see the parents as excited as we are, right? So try your best to make that part of your classroom if you can, okay? Another tip is just, really encouraging that volunteering. So I would actually change that to having parents come into the classroom and volunteer. I do understand that sometimes environments don't allow that, but that could just be a quick 10-minute opportunity for them to read a book in circle time, or even just opportunities to help with a specific lesson or craft or special event, right, for that matter. Because they really want to be included, but how do we include them, right? So really dive deep into how that works within your environment, because that does look different for all of us, right? And also what schools allow and what they don't. So have great conversations within your school leadership to try to make some changes if you feel changes are needed. Because I really think having parents, just for a little bit, I'm not saying, hours at a time, or even 30 minutes, and just having moments within the classroom so they can be part of it, which I think is super meaningful. And then also helping students learn at home. Giving, I'm not saying give homework, but I'm also saying give opportunities for learning at home. So giving suggestions, giving some feedback of what specific children are learning daily, and just kind of communicating that back and forth. That could be through email, that could be through a little all about my day form, or I've seen those before. Really, whatever works for you on that communication aspect. Because when we're also bringing that learning home, it also, again, brings parents a part of that, right? Which that's what we want to do. And then, of course, decision making. So including families as participants within the school decisions, meaning getting their feedback, doing surveys, doing just communication and asking, really bringing them part of that collaboration, within decisions, within the community, because it really, really makes them included and makes them feel great and good, right? You feel great when you are included within a process, right? Within the classroom, within your teaching team. So imagine how much that affects a parent, especially a new parent who is maybe new to the school environment, even more so how meaningful that is. So try your best to, really just kind of reflect on how you're creating those partnerships within your school or within your classroom. and try to readjust, in those areas as we're continuing to grow, because even those, opportunities will continue to grow depending on the needs of the parents, the needs of the children, of course. Um, so there is no like one size fits all approach to really anything for that matter. I really am a big believer in just self-reflecting, especially when you have a new group of children and parents, and it can all shift, and be different, which is okay. It's part of the process. And also just remembering that together we can do it all. So as long as we have the mindset to incorporate others, have great conversations, have great opportunities for collaboration, bringing parents and building those positive partnerships within the classroom, we truly can do it all together, in a positive way to help children grow and learn, because it is not just one person who is affecting a child, it's everybody within their environment. And then connecting the benefits. So why is this beneficial? Well, it really enhances a communication as the group, relates to each other around, shared power and decision making. Um, and I really wanted to kind of talk a little bit about this because I also feel within our classroom dynamic, we always have to have answers to either where we're going or what we're doing. But I encourage you to really let children be a part of that decision making, especially when they're a bit older and they're able to help and support you within the classroom, because this really helps support, positive relationships. It also supports that leadership aspect. It also supports their self-confidence in decision making. And I just really think it's a great way to navigate different, actions that are kind of happening throughout the day. Get some feedback, ask some questions, and really get them to be a part of that. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. I hope this has been insightful. I hope that you've gathered some information, within our course objective. If you have any questions or want to elaborate, please contact me via email. I'm more than happy to set up a Zoom and see you and connect with you. So please reach out if you have any questions, okay? And I will see you on our next slide. Thank you.